Now I would like to introduce Bertrand Piccard for the opening speech. We have 30 minutes with him, including 10 minutes for Q&A. Bertrand is a Swiss explorer, psychiatrist, and environmentalist. In 1999, along with Brian Jones, he was the first to complete a non-stop balloon flight around the globe. Most recently, he was the initiator, chairman, and pilot of Solar Impulse, the first successful round-the-world solar-powered flight. In 2012, he was designated as a champion of the Earth by the UN Environment Programme. We have a strong partnership between BPI France and the Solar Impulse Foundation to host the Solar Impulse community of SMEs on our platform Euroquity and help these SMEs to meet VCs around the world. But I had also the chance to hear a very great speech of Bertrand when you first met with all the employees of BPI France last year. You will not be disappointed. Bertrand is a one-of-a-kind adventurer who finds motivation in the seemingly impossible. Bertrand, ce sera vraiment un réel plaisir de vous écouter de nouveau. I believe you have suggested for us to watch a short video of about 3 minutes before you take the screen. So let's watch this video now. And when it's finished, Bertrand, feel free to take the virtual stage.
Impossible until it had been accomplished. Behind each achievement, explorers have invented the future by going beyond the frontiers of certainties. They have broken the rules, challenging common assumptions to discover new solutions. Today, solving the environmental crisis seems out of reach. We need the same pioneering spirit that has in the past allowed mankind to achieve the impossible. This is how we will find the solutions to change the world. Bertrand Piccard, the visionary behind Solar Impulse, wanted to demonstrate the incredible potential of renewable energies and clean technologies. Solar Impulse was built to carry this message around the world.
Hello, Solar Pulse. Hello, Captain Piccard. I am inspired by your pioneering spirit.
You know, Mr. Secretary General, if an airplane like Solar Impulse can fly day and night without fuel, the world, of course, can be much cleaner.
Hotel India Bravo, turning final, 02 right.
More than an achievement in the history of aviation, Solar Impulse has been an achievement in the history of energy. Let's take it further.
What can be done in the sky can be done on the ground. Replacing old and polluting infrastructure by modern and efficient technologies is logical as much as ecological. Convinced the protection of the environment will become a reality only if it's economically viable, Bertrand Piccard has launched the second phase of his action, committing the Solar Impulse Foundation to identify 1,000 solutions that can protect the environment in a profitable way. Developed by startups and corporates, these solutions reduce pollution and improve efficiency in the fields of water, energy, construction, mobility, industry, and agriculture for a better quality of life. Assessed by independent experts and labeled by the Solar Impulse Foundation, they represent the market opportunity of the century, generating jobs and clean growth. In the near future, Bertrand Piccard will travel around the world again to present this unique selection of solutions with one goal: encourage governments, businesses, and institutions to go beyond compromise and set more ambitious environmental targets and energy policies. Here again, the spirit of exploration has a role to play in achieving what many people still consider impossible. And you can be a part of it.
Thank you, Pascal, Sandra, Nicolas. Hello to everyone. Really nice to be with you. Maybe you can get the slide out for a little moment at the technique. We heard in the introduction today a few times that protection of the environment, reaching climate neutrality is something difficult. Why is it difficult? It's because we are in a fake choice where both propositions lead nowhere. One proposition is fighting against growth. This is what we hear in the green parties, degrowth. This leads to social chaos, exactly as we have seen during the COVID confinement. During 1 year, hundreds of millions of additional unemployed people, thousands of companies going bankrupt, social problems, and a lot of economical suffering. Of course, it doesn't work. What's the other option? The so-called illimited growth, where we have more production, more consumption, and this leads to an ecological and environmental disaster. So what do we have in between? Well, we need to find a third way. And this third way is the qualitative growth that I would like to tell you about. It is when we create jobs and we make profits by replacing what is polluting by what is protecting the environment. And this is a completely other mindset in terms of technology, in terms of economy, but also in terms of understanding the global situation. I give you an example. You've seen Solar Impulse flying. Who built Solar Impulse? It was not the aviation industry, because the aviation industry told me that it takes 1 minute only to calculate that there is not enough energy coming from the sun to be able to run an airplane day and night. Okay, maybe because they speak in terms of production, always more, but it doesn't work. There is a limit in the always more. So it took us then 3 years to do exactly the opposite, not produce more, but get the airplane more efficient, consume less energy. And this is why this airplane was so big in wingspan, so light, so efficient, this special shape, and so on. And it allowed us to fly around the world with no fuel. So how do we feel when we fly in an airplane like this? What does it mean to be efficient? And maybe now you can show the slide of the airplane flying. You imagine that you look at the sun. You understand that it's your only source of energy. With this, you can fly day and night. You don't need to refuel. You can stay in the air forever. And you look both sides of the cockpit, big propellers turning. There is no noise. There is no pollution. There is no fuel. And at this moment, I tell you, I was thinking, wow, I'm in the future. I'm propelled in a science fiction movie. And actually not at all. It was only what the technologies existing today allow me to do today. And at this moment, it was like a revelation. I understood how much the rest of the world was in the past. It was not me in the future with Solar Impulse. It was the rest of the world in the past. With outdated systems and technologies, that are destroying the world. Inefficient industrial processes, dirty ways to burn fossil fuels to have heat, movement, or electricity, badly insulated houses, inefficient combustion engines in the cars, 27% at the most, instead of the 97% of efficiency I had on my electric engines on solar impulse. Can you imagine that? So when we speak about being modern, we bravely wave our latest smartphone, but it's not enough. Everything else we use comes from the beginning of the oil era in the early 1920s. Is it what we want? Can we be proud of that? So it's crazy to see that a lot of people want to have degrowth, want to reduce consumption, want to reduce quality of life, want to reduce mobility. But the real problem is not there. The real problem is that we still use outdated and inefficient systems. So what if we were to modernize our world, to change the infrastructures? Would it be expensive or would it pay for itself? And this is where you are coming with business development banks, because it is now profitable. In the past, it was not like this. 10 years ago, I could not have made this speech. I would have explained you how expensive it was to protect the environment, how much subsidies we needed, but not now anymore. And this is what I wanted to prove with the 1000 solution challenge. Maybe you can present this slide on full screen for a little moment. We have worked in the past 5 years at the Solar Impulse Foundation, together with our partners, including BPI France, to identify technologies, processes, systems, products, materials, devices that would protect the environment in a financially profitable way. And here, of course, in the beginning, I was told it's impossible. You can never find that. The most optimistic people were telling me, you will find a maximum of 300 solutions because these are the niche where there are some problems to solve. Of course, I did not listen to that. I knew there would be a lot of solutions because there is no limit in the human ingenuity and imagination, innovation, creativity. And today, we have 990 of these solutions, and in mid-April, we will reach 1,000, the first 1,000. We will communicate, we'll make a huge event about that. Why that? Because it makes 1,000 proofs that the protection of the environment is more profitable than its destruction. And this is where we have a huge paradigm shift, because basically we can replace everything in our infrastructures, in the mobility, in the construction, in the industry, in the heating, lighting, cooling systems, energy production, distribution of energy, smart grids. We can replace everything to finally be modern. Finally be modern. And all the solutions we have identified come either from big corporations who maybe don't need you as much, but most of them come from startups, from small and medium enterprise. Exactly your targets. How will these companies be able to develop? Of course, they need money, but not only, they need to be known. They need to be recognized. And this is the work we're doing. We have put a label, which is the first label that certifies the profitability of environmental friendly technologies, the Solar Impulse Efficient Solution label. And this is the credibility factor. These solutions exist today. They are able to make money and they're able to protect the environment. But the limit, as I said, is not only financial. It's not only that we need to bring investment in, knowing that it will pay back, knowing that it's a huge business, knowing that it's new opportunities for the industry. No, there's another thing that we really need to take into consideration. It's the fact that the legal framework, the regulation today is also outdated. because it is based on what the technologies were allowing to do a long time ago. So you have a lot of companies today, a lot of individuals, even governments, who are polluting, who are emitting a lot of CO2, and they say what we do is legal. What we do is legal. And in that sense, they are right, it's legal, but it's not normal that it's still legal. That's the problem. If today we can do much better with new technologies, with solutions like the one we have identified, it means that the regulations have also to be modernized. The norms, the standards, have to be adapted to the reality of today. If we have an engine in a car that is able to make 20% of emissions instead of 100, why is it still allowed to have 100% of emissions? It should be 20%. If we are able to have houses, buildings, constructions who are carbon neutral, energy neutral, why is it still allowed to have constructions that are polluting so much? And this is the same everywhere in every sector. We are in a society that is wasting resources, and we need to go in a society that is saving resources by being more efficient. And you have a lot of people who tell you it's not possible because the GDP is always correlated to the increase of consumption, the increase of production. This was true in the past, it's wrong today. Today, the GDP can increase more if we link it to the efficiency than to the production. You can sell efficiency in an extremely profitable way. We have a company that is labeled in France, Ecotech Ceram. I think they're in touch with BPI France. They are recovering the heat that would be lost in the factory to store it and give it back to the factory to reduce the energy bill. After a couple of years, you get the investment back, it pays for itself, and you only make profit. This is what I mean by linking GDP to efficiency. And if we do that, we have the biggest market of the century opening to us, basically replacing everything we have by what is really modern, that is really efficient, that protects the environment, and this pays for itself. There are billions of dollars today and euros available on the market for the clean recovery. Are we going to give this money to industries of the past, building devices, building cars, building things that will be prohibited in 5 or 10 years? Or are we going to put this money into promising businesses for the future? Of course, this is where we have to put it. But you have a huge weight on the communication to political leaders. You can push to have a modernization of the regulations, of the norms, of the standards, to create the need that will pull these technologies. Because today we push them. We push them with grant subsidies and a lot of things, but we need to pull them by creating the need to use them. So it's not only about investing, it's about creating the general framework where they will be able to bloom. So we have started with BPI France to make e-pitches. It was during the COVID crisis, so we had the online, some of the solutions that have been labeled by our foundation, pitching to BPI France, pitching to other investors, and it was very successful. And in terms of politics, this is what we are starting to do now. We're preparing a new trip around the world, not in a balloon, not in a solar airplane, but what we call the round the world tour for solutions. And the goal is to bring this guide of solutions to all the heads of states, to all the big corporations, to all the investors, in order to allow them to have the tools to reach their goals. Because today, it seems difficult to reach all the carbon neutrality for 2050 because governments don't have a roadmap and they don't have the tools and they don't know which technologies are available. We want to help them. and you can help them also. And this is really something we can do together. So I will be very, very happy to give you all the details or the informations on the 13th of April when we launch officially the 1000 solutions, to keep you in the loop, because I'm sure that in your own countries there will be a lot of these solutions that can be supported by your national development banks. And of course, when I travel around the world, I will be in touch with governments, with heads of states, maybe with you in different countries where I will travel with this huge guide of solutions. So you see, this speech is only a beginning. I hope that we can collaborate a lot in the future, because protection of the environment today, fixing climate change, is the biggest market opportunity of the century. And I think you understood that. And I think you will have a very important role to play in this blooming of startups, of small companies, medium-sized companies, who will be the actors of a much better future. So I was very happy to express you the philosophy of what we are doing, the reason why we're doing it. And of course, I'm more than glad to have your questions. I think we still have a couple of minutes for this. So if you have questions, if you have even provocating questions or remarks, please feel free. We're here to discuss this topic together because we're all interested by it. Thank you very much.